listening to Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Midwest Money Management, your local full-service, comprehensive financial planning team. Midwest Money Management, where hope is not a strategy.
We're lucky to have him. Connor is a certified financial planner professional at Midwest Money Management. Very excited about today because I did some research. Connor, how are you?
Oh boy, Al. Dangerous enough on your own, but a little bit of research makes it scary.
I know just enough to be dangerous. Actually, from your website. So I wandered around and get your website, and because you guys send out, I think it's weekly, a little updater thing, and I happened to hit your logo, and it went to your website. And on the very front page, I thought it was funny. It says the latte lie. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, I've heard this one. You know, give up your frothy latte and all of a sudden you're gazillionaire. I want to play it real quick so everybody knows what we're talking about. And then I want to discuss. Here it is.
Sometimes the ideas we take for granted start to fall apart when we take a closer look. Which of these personal finance myths have you heard? Myth 1. Giving up my lattes today will let me buy that Porsche tomorrow. The latte factor claims that by relinquishing small expenditures and investing what you would have spent on them, you can accumulate wealth. Diligence can make a difference, but it'll take more than forfeiting your macchiatos to make it big. This strategy only stands a chance if you actually invest what you save consistently over decades. Easier said than done.
All right, so the latte lie. We've all heard this, right? If you saved, what is it, latte, $8 a day, and then you put it in the account, and then all of a sudden you have $2 million.
Yeah.
Well, Connor, you tell us at Midwest Money Management, you'll take small guys to the big guys. You guys, if I start calling Connor and say, how do I get you another $8 because I didn't have my latte today, you'd call me cray-cray, right? You don't want $8 a day coming shipped in. But if you said, hey, Al, you set up a weekly, what's 8 times, $40 a week, you know, and you set it up on them, that's different, right? That's the problem with the latte lie. I didn't have a latte today. I don't feel richer.
Yeah, the latte thing, I think, spun into more than it really was. I think it initially started with primarily younger people going, man, it feels like I don't have any money. And then the older folks that they happen to be talking to, maybe a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle going, well, you spend $6 a day on those darn Starbucks, you know. If you didn't do that, you'd be fine. You know, $180 a month for most people is not going to make or break making you a millionaire. But when you add the $180 that you're spending on lattes to the $200 a month you're spending on your Netflix and your YouTube TV and your Hulu, and you add that to your $700 a month in your car payment and your rent, and all of a sudden you can see where, wow, I don't feel like I have a lot of money to put away. The piece of the myth is, well, if I just don't buy those lattes, if I just drink Folgers at home, which is great, by the way, you know, I'm going to be rich. Well, no, because if you just don't spend that money and you spend it on something else, or you don't spend that money and you actually save it, but you're not investing it, well, it's pretty much not going to do anything for you.
See, that's if I can interrupt, that's where I wanted to go with this investing but not investing thing. My old man back in the day, my folks were divorced, and he picked us up every Friday, and we went to his house, and every Friday we stopped at the bank on the way, and he'd put $50 in a savings account. This was his way. And he, for years, I mean, his entire life, he did this. But my old man was not comfortable investing money because that wasn't his thing. He goes, it's in there. I get 2%. It's a thing. And I don't worry about it. Now, I say this in that in the hundreds of years, I mean, 75 years he did this, he did have enough to pay his bills, right? He always paid. He had a savings account. But I can't even imagine if I had done the same thing or he had done the same thing and invested with Midwest Money Management, how that could grow over the years. And that's where he missed out.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple of numbers at the risk of the audience falling asleep. So if you had your, call it $6 a day every single day for a month, let's call it 30 days, right? That's $180, $180 a month. Yep. And let's say instead of doing that, you're going to, quote, invest the money. We can talk about what that looks like and everything. But I grabbed the number 7%. Let's say for 40 years, you put $180 a month away for 40 years at 7%. At the end of the 40 years, you'd have just shy of $472,000. Now, that's not nothing. But the point that I would make is If you then turn around, and so that was 7%, if you turn around and you just stick that in a savings account, like today we have a savings account that might even pay you 3%, you'd have less than a third than you would if you had that 7%. So that's the piece where consistency is the most important thing. And then the actual return or the money, the quote, money making you money is the other big part of that equation. The biggest part, though, if you ever look at a graph with compound interest, it all happens at the end of the curve. It's one more year of your money making money, and it's incredible how exponential that actually is, which is why starting early and starting consistently and getting in the habit is the most important part. And that's really what the truth of the latte piece is. Whatever that expense is that you probably don't really need, that you're willing to sacrifice today, if you're willing to sacrifice it and capitalize on it, that's where it, builds for your future.
My youngest kid just got started in his first career, and they're setting up, his finances, the 401s, the 403, whatever the thing is. And I told him right away, find out how much you could not feel. If it's 5%, if it's 10%, I mean, this is his first real job, and get it regularly taken out. Well, Dad, I said, no, because you will get used to whatever that floor is, right? If let's just say it's 5%, he isn't making a ton of money, but if you get used to the 5%, and then as life goes on, that 5% is automatically going to increase as your salary does, but he's used to living on that 95. That's how you get consistent. And all of a sudden, 40 years down the road, he's going to say, how in the heck did I get all that money? But is that what, again, Midwest Money Management would set up? And what I mean by that is it's not much at the start, but if you want a regular, and is it a take out of your check thing for you, or is that 401k?
Yeah. So a lot of times, with 401k and younger people, or frankly, anyone who's working, we're going to help them talk through the logic of how much to put in the 401k. Maybe a good chunk of it or all of it goes into the 401k. Maybe you put up to the match that you might be getting, and then the rest of it we deploy elsewhere. One thing that's interesting too, and helpful, and it goes back to the latte piece. If we've got somebody who's got XYZ goal, and frankly, they aren't going to make it, they have to be very lucky with what they currently have, what they're currently saving to get there. And so we realize we got to do a little more work. They got to save a little more, or invest a little more, I should say. But they go, man, I just 500 extra a month or 200 extra a month feels like so much. I don't know how that's possible. Like, okay, let's do this for the next 3 months, 6 months, a year, until we see you again for your review. We're going to do $50 a month. But then I want you to commit to me today that when we get back together, we're going to increase it to 100. And then 150, and then 200, and you'd be amazed at once somebody goes, okay, I can handle $50 a month. They automate it. We set it up to pull right out of their checking account or whatever. That they really don't feel as bothered by it. So you're totally right on that. I would encourage all young people, essentially, again, depending on their circumstance, but generally speaking, broadly speaking, before you get that first big boy, big girl check, carve some of it out before it even hits your bank account. It definitely has a different psychological factor, when they pull it out before it hits your bank account than you saving or investing it after.
No, and then I presume it depends on the vehicle. Again, I'm coming to you, first job. I want to take $50 a month out. Next year will be 100. And just like you said, if it's a 401k, I presume they have 4 or 5 things and it's split up and that just automatically happens. If I'm doing like a Roth or something, I don't know if that was one you could do. Is there any that you have to touch then every week? Midwest Money Management, where Al wanted this week, and it becomes a hassle? Or is it just automatically and percentage-wise it goes to those, stocks or 401ks?
Yeah, most things, whether you do it with us or whether you do it in your 401k or you open up a brokerage account, somewhere, in the ether, most of them you're able to set, here's what I want my allocation, my investments to be. And then as you put money in there automatically, it automatically pulls money in from your bank account on a given day, or you say, hey, pull $200 out of my bank account today. And then it generally is going to allocate automatically. Certainly that isn't always the case, and you probably have to set that up. Sometimes you can put money in there. For example, the big thing that I would warn people, don't just because you signed up for your 401k assume it's invested. We've had a couple of people who come to us and we realize they've been investing in their 401k for many years, and it was just sitting in a stable value, basically a cash account, and they missed out on a significant amount of market gains because they didn't take one more step to try and understand. So there's risk in being invested, certainly, but there's even sometimes more risk in not.
Okay, and for one last before we go to break, back in the day, again, my old man's time, and when I first started, you just found a good stock you bought and hold. Get Coca-Cola. Everybody drinks Coca-Cola. Okay, so that's how people used to do it, but I presume if I'm 25, starting my first life big boy job, and I started doing this. There's better methods than just, buy something you use and then, Gillette, everybody has a razor. My dad, there's more to it. That's why you need a Midwest Money Management, right? You'd set it up into speedy big corporate funds and little mid-cappy funds and little, all that other stuff, right?
Yeah. It's definitely certainly a more complicated world as it relates to finance and personal finance and investments than it was 30 years ago. Mutual funds weren't even around. What would it have been 40 years ago? They just got invented. Back in the day, it was, 3M or, concrete company or whatever. I happen to have some stock. That's what I got, and yada, yada. We do still see, 90-year-olds who come in and they've got one stock that they got, and that's fine, potentially. There's a lot of risk in owning one stock. The truth is, most stocks themselves have a negative return over their lifetime. Which is kind of a crazy thing to think about. And a huge portion of them don't outperform, 30-year treasury bills over their lifetime. So there's definitely risk in individual stocks. Even really good companies can go through really difficult times, which, pick your stock, you're going to see some of that. So that is something we help with.
Fair enough. It's Connor with Midwest Money Management. More right after this.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
And we've got Connor in for Dollars and Cents, brought to us by Midwest Money Management. Another topic, Connor, I get it. If you're just the little guy just getting in, you have $50, $100, that's a couple $1,000. Maybe things like a government shutdown isn't like the biggest deal in the world, but you guys handle everybody, so I presume you've getting a lot of phone calls, like when we were talking about shutdowns, now it shuts down. And here's what I imagine it's sounding. Your chameleonaire guy. I say, Connor, what are we going to do about this government shutdown and my money? What should we be doing? Are you going to tell me it's baked in? That's my rich man voice.
That's like Colonel Sanders, like
No,
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's Longhorn Leghorn, the cartoon, but thanks anyway. Anyway, so he's just looking at me. So the rich guy, he's got some money. What do you tell him? Because I don't get the baked in. Oh, this is already baked in. I don't understand how that works. How do you get it when it's done being baked? What do you tell people? This is going to get done at some point. I mean, we won't be government shut down forever. How does this affect, and do you get a lot of calls?
Yeah, bottom line is, generally speaking, this feels like, at the risk of sounding like a political pundit, which I am not, this feels, again, like Washington theatrics. Not that there won't be impact. I mean, certainly there are hundreds of thousands of government employees that are going to be potentially furloughed, potentially not get paid, potentially have disruptions in service. I think the last time we had a shutdown was 2018, and I think it was 7 weeks long. So it's not like this is couldn't be more than a couple of hours and no one really cares about it. On the other hand, when you ask about how it's baked in, that would mean, hey, over the last couple of weeks, it seemed like Wall Street or the market decided it's likely that we're going to have a shutdown. And so we're going to sell off a little bit if we think that that's a negative impact to stocks. And that's sort of what happened. So if people are saying, hey, it's baked in, that would be commenting on, now that it's shut down, maybe the market's not going to react so aggressively. You're not going to probably get a massive move because the market sort of saw this coming. It's similar to the Fed rate cuts. They cut in September, and largely things didn't move a lot because for the last 2 years, basically, we've been going, okay, when are they going to cut? Probably September. Yep. So what we tell clients when we have these headlines, whether it's the tariffs or whether it's, the trade wars or the real wars or the politics, the elections, our strategies are based on reacting in real time. So when things start to actually misbehave, not, I think it might misbehave. I think the market might react to a government shutdown or whatever it is. When the market does start to react, we're going to act quickly and a lot of times, play defense for clients in scary situations like that. So our clients are generally pretty well trained that we're taking care of it. Most of the time when someone calls in scared or something, we can tell them, hey, we already raised some cash. We're going to be fine.
All right. And that's fair enough, because again, I'm trying to figure out, I don't want to get into all that. I'm just a radio guy, a knucklehead on the air, but I want you, if you have my money, to say, hey, this is our number one thing. We as soon as this starts, we're not going to play guessing games. I love that. You send out, Midwest Money Management, this one-sheeter every week, and I guess I should probably use the right name. What do you call the weekly market insights? And on that was like this economic snapshot and some stocks that are going to be reporting. I find some of it very interesting, don't get me wrong, but other things, I don't want to know if stock A, B, or C looks like they're going to sell enough phones to get to... it's too much. But you guys deal with that stuff, right? I mean, obviously you're putting together, you worry whether enough iPhone 7s or whatever you're going to sell. That's what a Midwest Money Management does. It takes that off of me and puts it on you, and I like that.
Yeah, that's really, I guess, our value proposition, whether it's looking at investments or whether it's just all the planning stuff, not having to worry about making sure you turn on Social Security at the right time, or how do I do Medicare Advantage or supplement plans? How does, what health insurance should I pick? What do I pick in the 401k? Should we buy a house? Should we not? What if we move out of state? Like all those things that are the big, scary life decisions that have to do with money are the things that we help people with, and that's the whole point, is we want to take those off of you, or at least help you shoulder the burden of those decisions. That is what we do.
See, and I love that. So how does somebody, if they're listening, if they're just getting started, or you sound like Foghorn Leghorn, which you didn't even know, you're showing.
Never heard of it. Is that a black and white cartoon? Is that from...
No, I think it was in color.
No sound?
No,
well, must have had sound because you knew the goofy voice. Yeah.
Thank you. But if I'm either one of those, and I think I want Connors of the world, the Midwest Money Management, to deal with all these problems, how do I get a hold of you? I got 30 seconds.
Yep. So email me, Connor@MidwestMoneyManagement.com. Go to our website, MidwestMoneyManagement.com, or give our office a call, 651-204-3000. 651-204-3000.
Connor, appreciate you being here, my friend. Always a pleasure.
See you next time, Al.
It's Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Midwest Money Management.
You've been listening to Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Midwest Money Management, your local full-service comprehensive financial planning team. Midwest Money Management is located at 17316 Kenyon Avenue in Lakeville, Minnesota. Securities offered through J.W. Cole Financial Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through J.W. Cole Advisors Incorporated. Midwest Money Management and J.W. Cole Financial Incorporated and J.W. Cole Advisors Incorporated are unaffiliated entities. Any opinions expressed are those of Midwest Money Management and not necessarily those of J.W. Cole Financial. You should consult a qualified professional for advice on tax and legal matters.